Welcome to N24 Headline News. We are in the heart of it. I'm Natalia Yuri, your anchor for today. To be the first to get N24 headlines and all of our production, go to msmu.me channel 1 or download the MSMU app or at home on the Android Play Store. If you want to send us stories in our public inbox or interact with any of the N24 team, you can find us all on the msmu.me platform. Let's take a look at the top news. Last October, Vancouver was the first city in the world to sign the Fossil Fuel Non-Proliferation Treaty, which collaborates with countries and cities to phase out fossil fuel, a major contributor to climate change. Much like Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty of 1968, this new initiative holds world powers accountable for a global environmental threat. N24's Shreya Kalra interviewed Christine McLeod, policy advisor at the Fossil Fuel Non-Proliferation Initiative, to learn more about the treaty and the current environmental emergency. Read the complete interview on n24.ca with wiki code A0466. The pandemic has been a contributing factor in opioid overdose and deaths when looking at the data. According to Public Health Ontario, the numbers of opioid-related deaths increased 38% in the first 15 weeks of the COVID-19 pandemic. There were an average of 46 deaths weekly. At least 5 provinces and territories reported record-breaking numbers of deaths in April to June 2020. Between January and June 2020, 86% of all opioid deaths occurred in British Columbia, Alberta, or Ontario. According to the Ontario Ministry of Health, $174 million funding was announced for mental health and addiction support for 2019-2020. The government had said that the funds would go towards child and youth communities, housing, consumption treatment services, health programs, education, mental health support, additional hospital capacity, senior mental health education, and more. This has been part of the long-standing commitment of investing $3.8 billion over 10 years in mental health and addiction services. King Randall is a community leader from Albany, Georgia, who founded mentorship groups The X for boys when he was just 19. Now at 21, he teaches a cohort of Black youth between ages 11 and 17, fundamental life skills including reading literacy, money management, and auto repair. Now Randall hopes to open a preparatory school to mentor and educate more young men in Albany. N24's Vicky A. Lee sat down with Randall to learn more about the initiative.
So we're actually trying to start a boarding school in Albany, Georgia. It's going to be called the Life Preparatory School for Boys. So with that being said, the school will be, of course, they will live there. It's a boarding school, but also they will be learning all the skill trades. They will also be doing regular class work such as STEM, and they will be learning the basics as well as doing things, that men need to learn how to do. They will also be taking field trips and going, and exploring places and things like that. But they'll be learning heavy machinery, such as forklift driving, welding, all of those things because it's super important. And they will also be doing dual enrollment with our local school, Albany Technical College, so that way they can graduate with their associate's degree whenever they leave my school. And this is a technical school, so they will go there and learn with their hands as well. But I always feel like that every child, when they get out of high school, I always said I feel like they need to go to a technical school first for 2 years before they ever go to a university. And I feel like that's important for our boys in particular, because they don't know really what they want to do yet. A child's decision-making part of their brain is not finished until they turn 25. So I always, as parents, you should tell your children of a few areas that they could go in, but I don't think you should just allow them to make that decision on where they're going to college because they're not knowledgeable enough to even know what's good for them yet.
Randall has launched a GoFundMe campaign to help raise funds for the boarding school. You can watch the full interview on msmu.me or the N24 YouTube channel with production code A0236. In Part 4, of a 5-part In the Wiki series, Veronique Audette analyzes and interprets the fatality rates of COVID-19. She, along with episode guest Diana Serbin, consider the statistics from a human perspective and read the facts and figures in the appropriate context. Take a look here.
Alluded that there would be significant undue harm, but a cost-to-benefit analysis was never conducted. You know, especially since, and this is something actually perfect segue into the next slide, we know that economy and health are intrinsically linked.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So when you see the largest contraction on record, you know that necessarily there are going to be a lot of health implications and consequences from this. And we're actually seeing this, and it's what we covered in part 3 of our series. We covered, increased thoughts of suicide, increased anxiety, increased rates of opioid use.
And alcohol as well. I found it really interesting that they closed AA meetings and left alcohol stores open as an essential need. That was absolutely mind-blowing for me. I know people who suffer from those things, and the fact that they didn't have access to AA meetings, but they had access to more alcohol, that doesn't add up for me.
You can watch the full In the Wiki episode on msmu.me and our YouTube channel. You can also read the complete 5-part statistical analysis conducted by Veronique on in24.ca. About 7.5 million people downloaded Signal following WhatsApp's announcement that it will force its users to share personal data with Facebook. The company said that users will have to agree to terms by February 8, in which Facebook, its parent company, will get access to people's personal information, including phone numbers and location, among other things. Users are able to delete the messaging service if they do not agree with the new terms. Many users have expressed concerns over their privacy on the app and are looking into switching to more private, reliable messaging software, which is why apps like Signal or Telegram have seen a spike in recent download. WhatsApp is assuring its users that messages between friends and family will remain private and that the new terms only apply to business messaging, which is designed to better adapt to the new COVID-19 business opportunities. More news is on the way, but first let's take a short break. For all of the topics presented on today's show, you can find in our show notes. Remember to download the MSMU app to interact with our crew or follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Telegram to keep up to date with uninterrupted news. Welcome back to In24. In the heart of it, I'm your host, Natalia Yuri, and you're watching Headline News. Republican Representative Randy Fine, District 53, submitted a letter urging the Florida government to boycott big tech companies, including Twitter, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, and Google. Fine said these companies' actions of censorship target a large part of the conservative residents who do not identify with the rioters who attacked the United States Capitol. O&A in the southwestern village of Arez, near Bordeaux, became the first vegan restaurant in France to win a Michelin star. The restaurant also won a Green Star for its outstanding ethical practices. The restaurant was opened in 2016 by Claire Vallet, a self-taught chef and former archaeologist. It is one of the only 54 eateries to win the distinction in 2021. The London Health Science Centre has terminated nurse Kristen Nagel's employment, who attended a Washington, D.C. rally on January 6th for challenging the global protocols relating to COVID-19. Global News confirmed that Nagel is no longer working at the hospital as a neonatal ICU nurse. In early January, Nagel and fellow frontline nurse Sarah Chujunian, also from Ontario, traveled to the U.S. to voice their disapproval of the government's public health measures and their effects on newborns. Video on social media show Nagel denouncing the lockdown as they have extreme psychological impact on premature babies and their parents. She also went to question the efficacy of face masks, among other things. The London hospital said that Nagel has been on unpaid leave since November 2020, but did not specify why. At the same time last year, CBC News reported that she had helped organize a freedom rally in London, Ontario. Here's a short clip of her speech. The full video can be found on our website under Inner Collective.
Empowered sovereign health, then it is our responsibility to investigate and to implement new practices and change our focus. We are losing meaningful connection and dehumanizing each other. I witnessed this in the NICU as strict restrictions were put in place. Mothers admitted to the antenatal unit were told they could only have one support person. They were sometimes there for weeks, if not months. This meant going without seeing family, including their own children, and sometimes their partners. During an already stressful experience with a high-risk pregnancy, we're adding more stress to mom and baby, as well as loneliness and fear. Mothers are now being told to wear a mask even during labor. Fathers are also not welcome in the OR for the birth of their baby during a C-section. If a mother has to be put under general anesthetic, both parents miss the birth of their child. Having a baby admitted into the NICU is a terrifying experience for parents, and we are now denying them support at the bedside as only one parent is allowed within 24 hours.
Nagel's actions have incited polarized responses, with one online petition demanding that she should be stripped of her license and another demanding that she should be allowed to continue nursing. Japanese stem cell scientist has been the first to receive government support to create animal embryos that contain human cells and transplant them into surrogate animals. The goal is to produce animals with organs made of human cells that can eventually be transplanted into people. The ban on the practice was overturned earlier in 2019. Archaeologists working on Sulawesi, an island in Indonesia, have found a cave painting of a warty pig that was at least 45,500 years old. According to CNN, cave art is thought to be the oldest depiction of an animal in history. The lone warty pig is a part of a larger scene of other warty pigs, either engaged in a fight or social interaction. According to Maxine Aubert of Griffith University, this discovery challenges the long-standing belief that human artistic expressions were first emerged in Europe. Thank you for watching Internet News Headlines. Remember to download the MSMU.me app or visit us at in24.ca to get the latest news. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Telegram for the latest uninterrupted news. Again, if you want to submit a story to In24 or interact with any of the In24 team, you can find us all on the MSMU.me platform. Until the next time, be in the heart of it. I'm Natalia Yuri from Internet News.